Today, we're diving deep into the story of a national hero, a figure whose name echoes through Romanian history, Michael the Brave. We all know him as the legendary prince who, for the first time ever, united the three principalities of Wallachia, Transylvania, and Moldavia under a single rule. It was a monumental achievement, a dream realized in the year 1600. But what happened after this glorious moment? That's where the story takes a dark, tragic turn, one that's often glossed over in the history books. Stick around as we unveil the heartbreaking tale of betrayal and downfall that followed Michael the Brave's greatest triumph. So let's set the scene. It's the late 16th century, a time of immense turmoil in Eastern Europe. The mighty Ottoman Empire is constantly pushing its borders, and the Habsburgs are fighting to hold them back. Caught in the middle are the Romanian principalities, constantly shifting allegiances to survive. Into this chaotic world steps Michael, the voivode, or prince, of Wallachia. He was ambitious, incredibly skilled in military strategy, and had a vision that was far bigger than just ruling his own small territory. He saw a united Romanian land, strong enough to stand on its own against the great powers surrounding it. His campaign was nothing short of brilliant. Through a series of daring military victories and clever political maneuvers, he first secured Wallachia, then marched into Transylvania, and finally brought Moldavia into the fold. By May of 1600, Michael the Brave stood at the pinnacle of his power. He had done the impossible. He was the ruler of a unified territory that closely resembled modern-day Romania. You can just imagine the celebrations, the hope, the feeling that a new era had dawned. For the first time, these three lands shared a single leader, a single vision. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated glory. But here's the thing about power, especially in that era. It makes you a target. Michael's success didn't sit well with his powerful neighbors. The Habsburg monarchy, led by Emperor Rudolf II, had initially supported Michael as a useful ally against the Ottomans, but now they saw him as a threat. A strong, independent Romanian state on their border. That was not part of their plan. They wanted a vassal, not an equal. Similarly, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth to the north and the ever-present Ottoman Empire to the south viewed Michael as unified realm with deep suspicion and hostility. He had too much power, too much influence, and he had gotten it too quickly. The internal situation wasn't much better. Ruling three distinct principalities was a massive challenge. Each had its own nobility, its own laws, and its own traditions. The Hungarian nobles in Transylvania were particularly resentful of being ruled by a Wallachian prince. They saw him as an outsider, a usurper. They began plotting against him almost immediately, seeking support from the Habsburgs to oust him and restore their own privileges. Michael was trying to build a nation, but he was standing on ground that was constantly shifting beneath his feet. He was surrounded by enemies, both outside his borders and within his own court. The man who played a key role in Michael's downfall was an Italian general in the Habsburg service named Giorgio Basta. Basta was a ruthless and ambitious commander who had fought alongside Michael. Initially, they were allies, united in their fight against the Ottomans. But Basta was loyal only to the Habsburg emperor, and he saw Michael as a rival. Emperor Rudolf, paranoid about Michael's growing power, gave Basta secret orders to undermine the Romanian prince. And so, the conspiracy began to take shape. The web of betrayal was being woven, with Michael right in the center, completely unaware of the fate that was being prepared for him. The first major blow came in September of 1600, just 4 months after the unification. A coalition of Hungarian nobles, backed by Basta and his Habsburg forces, rose up in revolt. They defeated Michael's army at the Battle of Maraslo in Transylvania. This single defeat was catastrophic. It shattered the image of Michael's invincibility and caused his newly formed union to crumble like a sandcastle. He lost Transylvania. Soon after, Moldavia also fell to Polish forces. In a matter of weeks, Michael's grand dream was in ruins. He was forced to flee, losing everything he had fought so hard to achieve. He went from being the ruler of 3 lands to a prince with no country. Here's where the story gets even more poignant. Stripped of his titles and his army, Michael had only one option left. He traveled to Prague in the dead of winter to plead his case directly to Emperor Rudolf II, the very man who had secretly orchestrated his downfall. Can you imagine the humiliation? The great conqueror, now a supplicant, begging for help from his ally. For months, he was kept waiting, treated like a commoner. But then, the political situation shifted again. The Ottomans were making gains, and the Habsburgs were once again losing ground. Suddenly, Emperor Rudolf needed Michael's military genius. He needed the brave, so a deal was struck. The emperor agreed to finance a new army for Michael to help him reclaim what he had lost. Michael would fight alongside his old nemesis, Giorgio Basta. It was a pact with the devil, a desperate alliance of convenience. In early 1601, Michael and Basta joined forces. Their combined army achieved a stunning victory against the Ottomans at Guruzlo. It was a triumphant comeback for Michael. He had proven his worth once again. He was back in control of Transylvania, and it seemed like he was on the verge of rebuilding his union. Hope was rekindled, but it was a false dawn. Giorgio Basta was still determined to eliminate his rival. He saw Michael's renewed success not as a shared victory, but as a direct threat to his own ambition and the emperor's authority. In Basta's eyes, Michael was too popular, too powerful, and too independent. He had to be removed permanently. With the victory at Guruzlo secured, Michael was no longer a military necessity. He was now a political liability. Basta decided to act. On the morning of August 9, 1601, just a few days after their great victory, Basta sent a detachment of soldiers to Michael's camp near Campia Terzi. They came under the pretense of arresting him, but their true intention was assassination. Michael, caught completely by surprise, confronted the assassins. According to legend, he declared, "I am Michael," and attempted to fight back, but he was overwhelmed. He was brutally killed, his life cut short in the most treacherous way imaginable. The man who had united the Romanian lands was murdered not by his sworn enemies, the Ottomans, but by his so-called Christian allies. The news of his death sent shockwaves across the region. Giorgio Basta, the architect of the assassination, took control of Transylvania for the Habsburgs. The dream of a unified Romania died with Michael. The 3 principalities once again went their separate ways, and it would be another 300 years, until 1918, before they were finally united again. Michael the Brave's union had lasted for less than a year, a fleeting moment of glory extinguished by betrayal and political intrigue. His death was a profound tragedy, a story of what could have been. So why does his legacy endure so powerfully? Because Michael represents more than just a brief political union. He represents the dream itself. He proved that it was possible. He created a blueprint for a future nation. His story became a symbol of national identity, a rallying cry for future generations who sought to create a unified and independent Romania. His short-lived triumph inspired Romanians for centuries, a reminder of their shared heritage and their potential for greatness. But it's also a cautionary tale about the brutal realities of power, the sting of betrayal, and how quickly dreams can be shattered. Michael the Brave reached the highest peak, only to be thrown into the deepest abyss. A true tragic hero. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. It's a somber story, but an incredibly important one. If you found this interesting, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next historical deep dive. Let me know in the comments what you think about Michael's story. Was he a naive dreamer or a victim of his time? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.